Revelation 2:6 then says, "But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate." Again, lots of hate here in Revelation 2, right? There's hating of evil. And so who are the Nicolaitans? Jesus condemns the Nicolaitans in context of both the Ephesians and the Pergamines, as we'll see. In Revelation 2:15, Jesus addresses the church at Pergamos, and he says, So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate. So what was so bad about the Nicolaitans? Well, the Bible doesn't specifically mention what the Nicolaitans believed or what their doctrines were, but we have a strong indication of what they believed. You know, through the early church writings, they indicate that the Nicolaitans practiced fornication while indulging in idolatrous feasts as a form of antinomianism, or in simpler terms, hyper-grace, meaning that anything is permissible under Christ since we've been saved by grace. Okay, that's what the Nicolaitans appear to believe, and the Bible associates the Nicolaitans with this immoral behavior in Revelation 1:14 through 15. Does it by association, and he says in verse 14, "But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication." And then John mentions the Nicolaitans by association right after that. "So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate." Okay, so the one restriction, we get an association there between fornication, sacrificing unto idols, and the doctrine of Balaam and the Nicolaitans. The Bible kind of lumps them together as like one group, one thing. So they were obviously doing those kind of things. And the first restriction that the Gentile believers were commanded by the apostles was to abstain from eating meats sacrificed unto idols and to abstain from fornication. Remember in the book of Acts, when the apostles got together, they had a council. They said, we're going to forbid the Gentiles. They don't have to follow all the tenets of the law because that was for the Jews, and it's too hard for the Romans. You know, they're not going to do that. But we're still going to restrict fornication and eating meat sacrificed unto idols. And so that's exactly what the Nicolaitans were teaching. They're saying, forget the apostolic council. It's all grace. Just do whatever you want. It was a form of antinomianism or hyper grace. And this is what most of the pagan ritual cults of Rome and Greece practiced. They would fornicate through ritual prostitution in the temples and orgies and sexual immorality. Then they would sacrifice unto idols. I mean, it was completely hedonistic, completely pagan. And Artemis, for example, was a fertility goddess. And so that was the reason for the fornication through this weird idolatrous practice. And so worship included, the sexual debauchery and cult prostitution. And so it's likely that this is what the Nicolaitans practiced and taught under the guise of Christianity. It was basically a Roman pagan cult.